Okay, good day, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Denzel Spencer, and I'm going to be the chair in this round, which is the final round for MNIV finals juniors. The motion reads, this house prefers a world where the research, writing, and teaching of history focuses on studying the lives of ordinary people as opposed to that of important leaders in society. Side proposition, we have Napisunsa 4, and side opposition is Napisunsa 3. Introduce your panel and their preferred gender pronouns. My preferred gender pronoun is him or he. So may I kindly have the speaking order for Napisunsa 4? Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, can I kindly have the speaking order of Napisunsa 4? Or alternatively, during the debate, just type your speaking order so that we just know for recording purposes. You can just put it in the text space and put your preferred gender pronoun in brackets. So I'll allow the panelists to introduce themselves and their preferred gender pronouns. Yeah.
My name is McKenna Cynthia. My preferred pronouns are she, her.
My name is Kamau Ann. Preferred pronouns are she or her.
My name is Mupambatsa. My preferred pronouns are she or her.
Okay, thank you very much, panelists. I now want to go on to some housekeeping rules. So before you start your speech, can you kindly let us know how you prefer to take POIs? Would you like to take your POIs through the text space or over voice so that there are no disruptions there? And the last and final thing is on timekeeping. You have 8 minutes to present your speech. The first speech is protected time. The last is also protected time. And after 8 minutes, we are going to allow you 15 seconds to wrap up your speech. We are going to be, hello, someone seems to want to share something. Oh yeah, it's fine. Cynthia is going to be sharing her screen and keeping time. So we need to be very careful of that one and make sure that we don't present speeches that are way over 8 minutes, 15 seconds. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, on the motion stated before us, I call upon the first proposition speaker to start the debate for us. Here. Do we have the government site, Napisunsa 4? Because I'm not getting any response from you guys. Napisunsa team 3, are you here?
Napisunsa team 3 present.
And all your speakers are around?
Yes, they are.
Okay. Napisunsa team 4, are you around? Napisunsa team 4. Host, I'm missing the proposition side. I'm not getting any response from them. How do we proceed?
Hi, Nabisunsa, you guys are from the same school. Where is your other team? I'm also trying to locate them, but where is your other team?
They are coming. They're coming. They're on their way. They were in a different room, but they're coming.
How long do you think they're gonna take?
That's 2 minutes. Actually, they're here.
They're here. Sorry for the delay.
Okay, it's fine. As I was saying, Before you start your speech, let us know how you're going to take your POIs. Are you going to take them over voice or text-based? And secondly, your speaking time is 8 minutes. The first minute is protected. The last minute is protected. After 8 minutes, we are going to give you 15 seconds to wrap up your speech. And before you start your speech, tell us your name, tell us your preferred gender pronoun. My panelists have already introduced themselves. So before wasting much of our time, I call upon the first speech from side proposition. Yeah. And Joe, another thing, Cynthia is going to be keeping time and she is sharing her screen as to how time is going to be moving. So kindly be cognizant of that. Thank you.
Can I be heard?
Yes, you can.
Okay, I'll start in 3, 2, 1. Thank you, dear judges and farmers negators. My name is Nimusima Tracy, and I'm the first speaker from the proposition side. Dear judges, today's debate states that this House prefers a world where the research, writing, and teaching of history focuses on studying the lives of ordinary people as opposed to that of important leaders of society. Dear judges, in today's debate, I'm going to be to one major thing. This will be to give you a proper case outline, and my case outline will constitute of harms, benefits, and why in this case our world is a much better place to anyone. So I'll start first of all by giving you a definition of the key terms of this debate. Number one would be an important leader of society. This is basically self-explanatory. It means someone who is important, someone who holds an important leadership position in our society. Number two is an ordinary person. An ordinary person is someone that is not distinguished by rank or position. Number three, history. History is the study of past events, particularly in human affairs. Dear judges, in this debate, what problem is it trying and seeking to solve? We as the proposition team feel that the major problem is the idealization of important leaders and neglecting the fact that ordinary people have also had their share of achievements. Dear judges, dear judges, we bring you to the importance of education. Why do we educate people? Number one, for people to discover themselves, to learn basic skills and to learn how to maneuver basic life situations. And education is supposed to be the art of discovering something extraordinary about ordinary people and saying with ordinary words that something is extraordinary. That is what we believe education is all about. And dear judges, I will bring you to the harms of idealization, the harms of making history about these important leaders of society. Number one, it implants the idea that only important leaders have made it in life. Number two, we will get less respect from the children or younger generation. Number three, we forget the fact that majority of the people won't be leaders. And number four, isolation of figures and adopting all the exact characters. I'll give you my first point, which is the idolization, which is implants the idea that only important leaders have made it in life. As we can all see, when we only have history about these important people, we forget the fact that even ordinary people have had their share of achievements. History gives us the idea of only specific people, but dear judges, we leave out the bigger number. We need to acknowledge the fact that not everyone is going to be a leader. In fact, out of 3, it could be 1.5. Dear judges, so we neglect the fact that ordinary people have had their share of problems. History only focuses on people who have made it in life, and it seems that ordinary people have not made the exact achievements, which brings me to the second point. No respect from children. Dear judges, so since there's this belief that only ordinary people, only important people have made it in life. Now, other people who have fair occupations like teachers, like carpenters, they don't get as much respect. In fact, you find the younger generation despising it. Why? Because for them, they feel that that is not the level of success they are meant to achieve. Their they feel so they'll disrespect these people because for them, they feel that you know what, they are only, I'm not made it in life. These children will feel like the only level of success is becoming a leader, to which there's much more. And then we forget the fact that majority of the people won't be leaders, like I said earlier, dear judges. So because they have this mentality, they're going to forget the fact that even if you study about someone great, you may not become like them, dear judges. In fact, it will even divert their purpose of life, dear judges. So this study of important people only addresses the minority of people. We leave out the bigger picture, who are actually not going to become leaders, because in this world, not everyone can be important, and majority of the people are not ordinary, which brings me to the third point. It's idealization of figures and their characters. So in the event that they are to idolize these people, they think that everything they do is right. They tend to take up all their certain characteristics, dear judges. Even if they had a characteristics of how they gain their success by killing, for example, like a man like Shaka Zulu, they would feel like killing is right. They become completely oblivious to the fact that even these important people actually have their flaws, which brings us to the benefits of having history about ordinary people. 1, we see life from different angles and perspectives. 2, because history is important. 2, ordinary people can be role models. 3, we get to appreciate and respect ordinary people. Number 1, we see life from a different perspective. These ordinary people may not have been great enough. They may have, because ordinary people go through a lot of losses. But if we learn about these ordinary people, it teaches people how to cope up with losses, how to adapt to a normal situation in society. Number 2, I'll take you later. Ordinary people can be role models, dear judges, because we will see this struggling mother, even if she does not become an important leader, we will see that she would attend her charcoal business, she'll at least gain some money, and this can create an impact on a little girl. It doesn't necessarily mean yes. Number 3, we get to appreciate and respect ordinary people more, since we relate with them more easily, dear judges. Dear judges, in this society, it's not like everyone is going to relate with these important people. It comes down to the people where we live, and we relate more, dear judges. If we had people near us to guide us, to mentor us into becoming those people, if they could tell us their fair shares, I can assure you these important people don't even have time for everyone. And nevertheless, these important people, some of them achieved success by these ordinary people. We need to look back at how this ordinary person managed when they were being depressed, how they were able to survive, how to maneuver basic situations. So if we base history and research about these ordinary people, we get a wider view of life. Why? Because they are the majority of people, dear judges. Team proposition gives you a case of greater good for the greatest number, dear judges. As we can clearly see, the greatest number are the ordinary people. These ordinary people are the ones that impact more on this. They impact more on this society, because more people can easily relate with them. This person can easily come and mentor you. It's not automatic that you have access to this important person, and will not idolize, and this idea will not exactly take people as gods, because as I told you, these important people paint an image that if I idolize, complete idolization clearly means you take up, even you do not see their flaws, dear judges. Dear judges, as I conclude my case, I come and assure you that in our world, we prioritize something that is going to impact more on society, something that helps people know, not diverting the younger generation of the past, giving them false hope that all of them can be leaders. Yes, some of them can be leaders, but if we are to look at the majority of people, the ordinary society addresses everyone. I rest my case by saying that team proposition deserves to take this debate.
Yeah, thank you very much for that speech, Tracy. I now call upon the first speaker from the opposition side to start the debate for the opposition bench. Kindly, before you start, tell us your name and your preferred gender pronoun and how you'd like to take POIs. Thank you.
I prefer to be called how she. My POIs can be taken. I'll take them in the middle of the debate. So, the judges, the farmers, the negators, and the House at large, good evening. My name is Rema Muhammad, and I'm the first speaker of the farmers team. The motion states that this House prefers a world where the research, writing, and teaching of history focuses. and focuses on the studying the lives of ordinary people as opposed to that of important leaders of society, and we negate this motion nevertheless. So before we begin our debate today, let me tell you what I'm going to do. Let me give you my case outline. I'm going to first rebut the preparent speaker. I'm going to explain the motion and terms. I'm going to give the harms. I'm going to give the benefits. Then I'm going to explain the harms. Then the second speaker is going to explain the benefits. Then the third speaker is going to whip. Then we're going to show you that in the presence of all other alternatives, why ours is better, hence proving to you why the negators should win this particular debate. Let me start by rebutting the preparent speaker. So I'm going to generalize my rebuttal into two, and let me start. So she came and stated, so in my rebuttal I have, maybe if these people did what these leaders did, they will be idolized. Like Nelson Mandela, you can't compare an ordinary person to what he contributed to this society, to this world. And by the time you are elected a leader, people believe in you. So maybe you should win people's trust to start you are elected a leader. Then next, she said that we think everything they do is good. That is not true. Every human being is born with a sense of good and bad, unless you are not human, so that is really irrelevant. And then even ordinary people can do bad things. So moving on, let me explain the terms in the motion. So research is a clear study of a subject or concept, especially to discover more points or information about it. History are all the events that happen in the past, especially in human affairs. Leader is a person who leads a group of people, especially the head of a country, prefers to like something more than something else. Society, these are people in general living together in a community. This meaning this house likes a world where the study, writing, and teaching of past events focuses on studying the lives of ordinary people as opposed to that of important people who lead a group of people living together in a community more than the one which does not, and we negate this motion nevertheless. Dear judges, history is important, but not all history is very important. Dear judges, today we want to focus on the very important history. The history that must be recorded is the history of game changers, way makers, freedom fighters, leaders, and people who changed the world. For example, Mahatma Gandhi, a leader of the Indian non-violent independence, who advocated for civil rights in India, a lawyer and a political ethnicist, and an anti-colonial. Then Nelson Mandela, a hero. He was a South African anti-apartheid revolutionary. He was a political leader and who served as president of South Africa from 1994 to 1999. He was the country's first Black head of state and first elected in fully representative democratic election. Dear judges, this shows that these people's stories don't deserve to go untold because they did too much to be left out of history. So dear judges, we should put them in history as a sign of notice, a way of thank you for their struggles, because their struggles among what puts this world in this state now. So we need to thank them for their struggles. For example, Nelson Mandela, who was arrested for 27 years for what he was fighting for. Why should we let such stories fade? We are not saying that what others did was not good, but we are saying that leaders need to be rectified. They sacrificed a lot, and a lot of their work was put in. The problem at hand is not recognizing the leaders for what they have done. Dear judges, let us pick up a paintbrush and some paint and compare worlds. Paint a world with me where our leaders are left out of history and their great fights are forgotten. In this world, their great accomplishments will be left out, making the people of this world forget where they come from and who helped them get where they are. And then, dear judges, once more, pick up that same beautiful paintbrush and paint a world with me, because old is good and the leaders' history is old and old is good. This is a world where people are grateful for what these leaders did, a world where these people know their history and they wear their history head high, and that is beautiful. Truly, our position is a more grateful option. So let me move on. The stakeholders in this case are the people today. These people are, for example, the South Africans. These people will not value what Nelson Mandela did for them. These people were victims of apartheid. Then Nelson Mandela said no more, and he stood up and fought them. If this history is not recorded, it will go unacknowledged. Like that of Kabalega Bunyoro in Uganda, these people will never value their freedom as much as it should be valued. And this also applies to the rest of the world. Why should we let such stories fade? So dear judges, in the case where the benefits outweigh the harms, indeed here the benefits outweigh the harms. Let me give you the harms, which are: number one, freedom fighter stories die out. Number two, people take their history for granted. Number three, some injustices will never be rectified. Let me give you the benefits, which are role model. Number two, inspiration. Number three, recognition. Let me explain the harms. Now, harm number one, freedom fighter stories die out. For example, if we don't acknowledge these people and show them, for example, in South Africa, these people like Nelson Mandela, they did too much. So imagine that we don't tell people about them. These people will be forgetting, people will forget where they came from. So let me go back to my second harm, which is people take their history for granted. People will take their history for granted. Kabalega Bunyoro of Uganda, what the British did to them was not right, but people will forget it. People will be like, wow, this guy, people want to acknowledge what this guy actually did. Like that Kabalega Bunyoro, these people will never value their freedom as much as it should be valued. And this also applies to the rest of the world. Then my point number 3, which is recognition. My point number 3, which is some injustices will never be rectified. As we all know, Kabalega was a king of Bunyoro in Uganda. What the British did to him was not right, but he did not get the justice. His history was not noted down. Don't you need history of these leaders to be noted down? His history was not noted down, which led to people forgetting his stories. His story has to be remembered, that people forgot his story because his history was not noted down. So let me say, don't you need history of these leaders to be noted down? So let me move on to my first harm, and I'll explain it again. I'm going to re-emphasize it, which is freedom fighters' stories die out. Like Mahatma Gandhi, what he did should not be left unrewarded. What he did should not be forgotten. He was the leader of the Indian nonviolent independence, who advocated for civil rights in India, a lawyer and a political atheist, and an anti-colonial. Why should we not write their history down? Their history will be forgotten. To be forgotten, people will forget where they came from. People will forget that people who fought for their rights. People will forget where they came from. People will forget their roots. So let me move on to re-explaining my second point. People take their history for granted. People really will take their history for granted. They took the history of Kabalega of Bunyoro in Uganda for granted. These people never value it. These people forgot about it. They forgot everything of what Kabalega did for them. So we need to write down their history. Don't you see my points? So let me move on to my third point. It is some injustices will never be rectified. I said that Kabalega of Bunyoro, what the British did to him was wrong. It was not right, but he did not get that justice because his history was not noted down. So as we said at the beginning, we told you our problem was not being recognized for what they had done, and our solution is negating the motion above. So I rest my case by stating a motion that states that this house requires the world where the research, writing, and teaching of history focuses on studying the lives of ordinary people as opposed to that of important leaders of society, and we negate this motion nevertheless. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that great speech, Rayma. And I'll call upon the second speaker from the proposition side to give their speech. Yeah.
The judges, the affirmers and negators, the House at large, a good afternoon to you all. My name is Bonita Mulunji, and I am the second speaker of the affirming side. Before I begin my debate, I would like to start with my rebuttal. Second, I will state the harms and the benefits. And thirdly, I will show you why in the presence of other alternatives that have been stated, ours is better, henceforth showing to why the farmers should take this debate. The first negator comes and shouts for us, stating that these ordinary people should earn people's trust to be a leader. But clearly the first negator does not understand what ordinary means. It means to not be distinguished by rank or position. So these ordinary people that do not have the capacity to stand up for leadership, they have to be able to stand. What she's forgetting that is that these important leaders were also ordinary at some point. These important leaders are going to inspire people, but to be honest, only a minority. Not everyone is going to be Nelson Mandela like she clearly states. So let us look at the people that were oppressed. Don't you think that it would be better to see from their point of view? Dear judges, allow me to go to my harms and my benefits. But before I do that, I want to remind us what the motion clearly states today. It states that this house prefers a world where the research, writing, and teaching of history focuses on studying the lives of ordinary people as opposed to that of important leaders of society. What is the problem that this motion is seeking to solve, dear judges? Let us ponder on that. The idealization of important leaders and neglecting the fact that ordinary people also have their share of achievements. Before I continue, I would like to state my harms, and then later I will expand on them, and then I'll go to my benefits. So, as our pastor farmer said, she gave these harms. She gave that it implants the idea that only important leaders have made this in life. Secondly, loss of respect from these children or younger generation to ordinary people. And thirdly, idealization of the figures and adaptation of these characters. And fourthly, we forget the fact that majority of students will not become leaders. So allow me to begin. Number one, implants the idea that only important leaders have made it in life. Ordinary individuals that want to aspire to be the greatest they can be in their own capacity will obviously feel like their achievements do not matter compared to this leader that they have read about. Because once a student studies about a leader, their only form of achievement will be what this leader has accomplished. Who wants to live in a world like that, dear judges? Let me bring you to my next point that says less respect from children or younger generation to these ordinary people. We are already viewing important leaders of society as the star of this show. No one ever appreciates the people in the background who bring life to the show. If you're watching a movie and there are stars in that movie and they have a coffee date scene, if there are no people in the background, are you going to feel the coffee date scene? No. You are obviously going to see someone in the background laughing, taking a sip of their coffee, or something along like that. So this brings me to our third point that states idolization of the figures and the adaptation of their characters. Dear judges, we take these leaders to be the gods and goddesses of this earth. And so because we want to be like them, we tend to adapt all their flaws and imperfections. And that is something where we all have to agree. If I look up to this specific person, obviously I'm going to strive to be the best that I can be to be them. Are you with me, judges and the farmers and negators? I hope you are with me. This brings me to the fourth point of the harms that states that we forget the fact that majority of students will not become leaders. Dear judges, the first negator paints for you a world, but we don't need paint and paint brushes. Can we just use our imagination? Can we close our eyes? Can we just close our eyes and focus on these people, these ordinary people? Where we focus on studying the lives of these ordinary people, what are you seeing in your mind, dear judges? Of course, images are coming because we are seeing in a world where people have relatable role models in life. They do not have to undermine their own achievement because they know that Mr. Kasonkole of Kampala, who is an ordinary person, has done this specific thing. That means also me, when I do something, I will be the best at what I have done. Dear judges, I hope in your mind you're seeing the thing that I'm trying to tell you. Another imagination that we should draw up is where we focus on important leaders of the society. Here in your mind, what are you seeing? You are seeing that these people set targets that they might not even be attainable. We see that these people align their lives with those of important leaders. Dear judges, we all know that our life is our own. If you don't live your life, how are you going to be able to fulfill your potential? Dear judges, let me take you to the benefits. I will list them and then I'll explain them. So, number one, we get to see life from a different angle or perspective. Number two, we are able to get more role models for these ordinary people. Number three, we get to appreciate and respect these people. Let me elaborate more, dear judges, farmers, and negators. We get to see life from a different angle or perspective because in the rest of life, we are used to knowing that there's always one important leader at the top and seeing all his or her achievements. But if we look at this one ordinary individual, we will be able to know, we will be able to experience what this person has felt. Dear judges of farmers and negators, I hope you're with me as I go to my second point, which is moral models for these ordinary people. Let us remember that ordinary people are a bigger percentage in this world, and they are so relatable. An example is in my country, Uganda, where an ordinary person who has missed taxis to her job, who has walked in rain every day, and in the end, she actually gets her job. Of course, I'm going to be inspired that even if I don't have transport, even if I walk in the rain to go for a job interview, that there's still a high chance for me to get this. What are we trying to say, dear judges? That let us focus on the lives of these ordinary people because they're so relatable. We pose a question to the opposing side. How will you address the problem that we have stated? If you have been listening, how will you address this problem that we have stated, dear judges? We also ask, how will the majority who have not become leaders know that they will not divert their life's purpose or lives to go to follow in these important leaders' footsteps so that they can be just as important? Dear judges, affirmers, and negators, we get to appreciate and respect people more since we easily relate to them. I think that is something we have all understood from my speech, the relatableness of these ordinary people in our lives, knowing that a man or woman, girl or boy with no significant standing in the social hierarchy of this world we live in, obviously I shall be able to relate. I will be able to understand someone that lives an ordinary life just like me. And why shouldn't I be able to respect the hurdles they face? This brings me to our principle today, the utilitarian principle that states the greater good for the greatest number. Who is the greater good in this case? The greater good is focusing on the ordinary people, focusing on what they have done. And the greatest number is obviously these ordinary people. Dear judges, affirmers, and negators, as I wrap up my speech, let us remember the stakeholders in this debate, the ordinary people that are trying to align their lives with those that left this earth a long time ago, trying to align their achievements and failing to see that their own achievements matter. Dear judges, affirmers, and negators, as I end my speech, I would like to thank you for this opportunity.
All right, thank you for that wonderful speech, Bonita. And I'll call upon the second speaker from the negative side to further the negative case. Here.
Good evening, dear judges, affirmers, negators. My name is Nella Barak, and I am the second speaker from Team Negative. I will take POIs through the chat box. Thank you very much. This house prefers a world where research, writing, and teaching of history focus on studying the lives of ordinary people as opposed to that of important leaders of society. I am going to start by rebutting what the second speaker from Team Affirmative said, then I'm going to move on to the benefits. So, the second speaker from Team Affirmative said that these guys are just ordinary people. How will they fit in? How will they be noticed? Because even these extraordinary people are also ordinary. But yes, I agree with you. These people were also ordinary, but they strive from ordinary to extraordinary, and henceforth the study of history should focus on the importance of, the study of history should focus on the importance of leaders of society. These people strived and they became extraordinary. They worked hard in life. They strive for success. So henceforth they should be recognized in history as leaders of society. Then they were not recognized, that these people are not recognized. To be recognized, you must outstand people. You must strive for success. Nobody, and I repeat, nobody is going to recognize you if all you do is have some idea in your head and all you do is sit around and just yarn, just shout that I have this idea, but you're not working upon it. How are you going to be recognized if all you do is sit back and lay? Then I will be moving on to my point. I'm going to start by defining a leader, because clearly the affirmers do not get what we are going for. A leader is someone who can see how things can be improved and who rallies people to move towards the better vision. They work toward making their visions a reality by putting people first, just being able to motivate people enough. Leaders are empathetic and connect with people to be successful. These people have helped people in life. They have strived for access. Let me give you examples of these leaders. People like Mahatma Gandhi, people like Nelson Mandela. Mahatma Gandhi was a leader of India's non-violent independence movement against British rule in South Africa, who advocated for the civil rights of Indians. Born in Bobanda, India, Gandhi studied law and organized boycotts against British institutions in peaceful forms of disobedience. He founded the National Indian Congress. Now tell me, dear judges, then this move on to our first benefit, which is being a role model. Gandhi, he was an Indian lawyer, an anti-colonial nationalist, a political atheist who employed non-violent resistance to lead the successful campaign of India's independence from British rule, in turn inspired movements of civil rights. This guy is a role model. He inspired people. He led the National Indian Congress. He strived for the independence of India. Now tell me this guy is not a role model. Tell me this guy does not inspire you, which brings me to my second point, which is inspiration. Nelson Mandela was a South African anti-apartheid revolutionary, political leader, and a philanthropist who served as president of South Africa from 1994 to 1999. He was the country's first Black head of state and was the first elected in fully representative democratic election. I said I'll take my PRIs in the chat box. Thank you. He never wavered in his devotion to democracy, equality, and learning. Despite the terrible provocation, he never answered racism with racism. This guy inspired people. Don't tell me, if he's such an inspiration, why doesn't he need to be recognized? Which brings me to my third benefit, which is recognition. These people strive. They worked hard in life. They led South Africa from apartheid. They led to influence. Nelson Mandela was the first Black president of South Africa. He led people from poverty, from slavery, into greatness. I will accept your PRI.
How many people are going to become like Mahatma Gandhi or Nelson Mandela? How many Nelson Mandelas do you have in this world?
There are so many who are good. They have strived for success. If you're just going to sit down and lay on your couch and say, this is the idea I have, how are you going to be recognized? These people, Nelson Mandela was a poor Black man. He was a poor Black man. He was never recognized, never acknowledged. No one knew who Nelson Mandela was until he strived for success. He was in prison for 27 years in exile. Now you tell me, a person who is Black, is broke, in apartheid, you were not recognized by the white people. He strived for success. He became the first Black president of South Africa. Now tell me, how is that not being recognized? People can become Nelson Mandela if you have determination, if you have zeal, if you work hard enough. You can become recognized, you can become a leader, and you can strive for success. Even you can become like him if you stop idolizing ordinary people. He was arrested and imprisoned in 1962 and subsequently sentenced to life imprisonment for conspiring to overthrow the state following the Renovia trial. Mandela served 27 years in prison, split between Robben Island, former prison, and Victor Verster prison. This guy was arrested for 27 years. Then that give you like a sense of, I don't know, he is my role model. He has inspired me. Imagine if I was sent to prison. I honestly wouldn't. I would chill. I would never go back. But this guy strived for success, which brings me to the point that you should never, an ordinary person sits back and doesn't do anything. But Mandela strived for success. He was a broke man, unrecognized, and this. But if you strive for success, you can become like Nelson Mandela. You can become more than Nelson Mandela. You can strive for success. And so I end my debate by saying that. So dear judges, let us compare the world. I might first give you the importance of history, dear judges. I think that our farmers have not yet understood that point. History matters because it helps us individuals as societies to understand why our societies are the way they are and what they value. Nelson Mandela strived for that. Says we are in apartheid. We were broke. We were under the whites. They were controlling us. We were slaves to these white people. We were working in their plantations. But Mandela said, no more. We are going to get our independence. We're going to strike for it. So they went and they fought. Mandela served 27 years in prison, but he came back to fight for his country. He came back to strive success, to gain success for his country. So we're going to compare an ordinary person who just sits down. I have an idea. Let's say you had the idea to get independence, but then you are not working upon it. You're just yearning for this recognition. Ordinary people are just there. They yearn for recognition, but they're not doing anything upon it. They're not working hard to achieve this success. They're not keep putting in a determination, the mindset to work hard. But Mandela, you can't become like Mandela, but stop idolizing these ordinary people. Become like Mandela. Be inspired by Mandela. Mandela is a role model. He's an inspirationist. He advocated for South Africa. You guys, Mandela is a great man. He is inspirational. I swear, I would love to be in the presence of Mandela. So I end my debate by saying that we, and the leaders of society, should be put in the history, should be put in the study of history. Thank you very much, dear judges.
All right, thank you for that wonderful speech, Nella. And I call upon the third speaker from the proposition side. Here.
Good evening, affirmers, negators, judge, and the house at large. My name is Sinje Martina, and I am the third speaker from Team Affirmative. Now I'll start with my rebuttal, go to the harm, the benefits, and finally show you where Team Affirmative takes this debate. One of the speakers from the opposite team said that every human being is born with a sense of good and bad. When you brought up the point of individuals clearly adapting the characters of these individuals, but we did emphasize that this history on this important leader, this emphasis on that one important leader, makes the students, makes the people to consider him as a god, and so adopt every single character of this individual. And so they want to be just like him, regardless of whether the characters are good or bad, because they consider him to be a god because of the history, the education that we are actually learning. Moving forward, they also say that not all history is important. Now, we shouldn't study about the ordinary people because their history isn't important, and told us about Mandela and Mahatma Gandhi. Of course, we acknowledge that history is important. We truly acknowledge it. But you are clearly seeing the effects of this kind of education. They are saying that their own history and achievements, the history and achievements of ordinary people, just like them, is not important. Their main identity is not important at all. They also told us about how people will not value what important figures like Nelson Mandela did. These important figures that strived for success, and so they should be recognized. But through word of mouth, they will eventually get to know, as we have obviously got to know, they will get to know about these important leaders. But the main point here, the main problem is emphasizing on this one particular leader is not necessary, because it leads to the idealization, which leads to the problem that this motion is actually trying to solve. Moving forward, they also say that these people will take their history for granted. They will take Nelson Mandela for granted. But what is more important? The history about your people, the history about your neighbors, the history about your grandparents, or that of a man that killed his family to become a leader, Shaka Zulu, of that of a man that did something else that doesn't even relate to you. These are clearly Ugandans, and they are talking about South Africa. It doesn't even relate to them. Clearly, they're taking their own history for granted, but because they are referring someone else's history. They also say that mistakes needed to be rectified. Kawalega's mistakes needed to be rectified by the British. But we have had this education for so long. And how has this history been rectified? Let me clarify. How has this history of Kawalega been rectified? Because they said this history is going to actually rectify the mistakes. By the time we know about Kawalega, I believe you're already educated about his history. But how has it been rectified? They have failed to prove that. They also say that these people can become role models. Can ordinary people also become role models? They are clearly showing the results of this education, whereby they don't even acknowledge ordinary people as role models, yet these are ordinary people. These ordinary people are people who we relate more with because they have no significant standing in the society, just like us. They also didn't answer our POI about how many people can become Nelson Mandela or Mahatma Gandhi, but instead they gave us a whole history podcast about Nelson Mandela's history, which I believe means that their education was effective, but I bet they can't give the history of their own grandparents and the struggles they went through. Moving forward, our harms, which in the problem which this motion is actually trying to solve is the idolization of important leaders and neglecting the fact that ordinary people have also had their fair share of achievements. They have failed to address this. The harm that it brings is that it implants the idea that only important leaders in our society have made it in life. It also leads to less respect from children to the ordinary people because they tend to find that only the important leaders deserve as much respect, and also the idolization of figures and adaptation of their characters, regardless of whether they are good or bad. We forget that the majority of students will not become leaders, which they have clearly refused to acknowledge. They refuse to acknowledge that the benefits, we get to see life from a different angle. In the rest of life, we are so used to seeing one important leader at the top, and this kind of education actually emphasizes that. But once you get to see life from a perspective of someone who really struggled so hard, who struggled so hard to raise themselves, who suffered because of drought, who dug in the mud, who did all sorts of this kind of work, these ordinary people, we actually get to see life from a different perspective. It makes more role models for students, because clearly ordinary people are more than the important figures. So we have a variety of role models for students to choose. They're better role models, they're even better role models, because we get to truly appreciate their success stories. We get to learn how to cope up with failure, just like these people, just like the teachers. For example, teachers, we get to learn, but people, because of this kind of education, we are clearly trying to see that these ordinary people like the teachers are actually becoming failures. We also get to appreciate and respect ordinary people more, since we easily relate with them. Once you get to know their history, once you get to study about them, we'll actually see these ordinary people as, wow, yes, these people really did something. But their kind of education is clearly going against all of that. Then also, we must consider the ordinary people. We're failing to see their personal achievements are actually big. They are failing to see that their personal achievements actually matter, because we are focusing on important leaders. May I inform you that important people show us success stories, but ordinary people, through ordinary people, we get to learn to cope up with the failures, and we get to learn to relate more with them. We get to learn to relate more with them because these are people who have no social standing in society, just like us, which they have failed to actually acknowledge. Not everyone is going to be a leader. Imagine a world where we knew about how people before us were living in normal, comfortable lives, where we do not have to actually struggle with ourselves to become leaders, where we can actually get to see that, you know what, being an ordinary person is actually fine, it's actually being okay. But they are refusing to actually acknowledge that. We are studying about history of a smaller percentage, forgetting the struggles and the achievements of the ordinary people, or forgetting the struggles and the achievements of the bigger percentage of people, how they felt, what happened to them, which is what we actually need to know, the Napoleonic Revolution. How did these people feel? How are they affected? This is something we should actually get to know, rather than the important leaders themselves. We also get to determine our paths as self-individuals, knowing that being ordinary is not a problem, as students would see through this education. Why do we educate people? You must ask yourself. We educate people for people to realize their identities, to discover themselves more, to relate with themselves well, to relate with their inner beings, not to force themselves to be who they cannot be or who they do not want to be. And this education system, which we're trying to communicate, clearly, truly achieves all of these objects, while the opposition's education system does not achieve these objects. Education is the art of discovering something extraordinary about extraordinary people, and saying with extraordinary words, education is the art of discovering something extraordinary about ordinary people, and saying with ordinary words that they are something extraordinary. We do not have to measure someone's standards by the fact that they are political leaders. No, we do not have to measure someone's standards by the fact that, you know what, they are leaders of society. Of course, we acknowledge leaders have done so much. They have done so much. That is something which we truly acknowledge, and we respect them for that. But what about the ordinary people? Have they not had their fair share of achievements? Have they not also done something that will impact the society? And have they not done something that will benefit the society as well? But they are clearly failing to acknowledge this. We ask them a question. We ask them how they will address the fact that the majority of the people neglect the fact that ordinary people have had their fair share of achievements. Because the majority of the students, the majority of the people if we use the utilitarian principle, the majority are actually the ordinary people. But how will you acknowledge the fact that not every student is going to be a Nelson Mandela, not every student is going to be a Mahatma Gandhi? How are you going to acknowledge the fact that they are also going to take their own different paths? So how will you address the fact they are going to find it so difficult to cope up with themselves, because they'll see that, yes, because there's this important leader, I should be like them. In order for me to actually show my success, I should be like this person. But not everyone is going to be like this leader. Not everyone is going to end up taking the same path as this. Who will be inspirations to those that will not take up the path of leadership? We asked them two questions and they failed to answer them completely. They failed to address that issue, that not everyone is going to take up this leadership path. Not everyone is going to become like the leaders that they talked about. So as I rest my case and clearly prove to you that the team affirmative wins this case, I would like to tell you that the emphasizing of history on the ordinary people is actually very vital, as you have seen. It is very important because clearly our benefits are outweighing our harms, which makes this act just, which actually improves the morality of this act. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you for that wonderful speech, Martina. I now call upon the third speaker from the side, a non-affirmative. Yeah.
Dear judges, I will take POIs in audio form. I prefer to be called she or her, and I'm going to begin rebutting from their first speaker. These people come and tell us that the idea that most important, the leaders have, that the idea that most important people have made it in life. Judges, as we come and tell you that if you want to produce extraordinary products, you give them extraordinary examples. That's why by giving them these important leaders, people who have made it in life are producing extraordinary products, we're bringing the best out of them. I believe this side, the farmers don't want they don't want to be extraordinary, they want to be average, just they don't want to command the best of people. That's why we're giving them extraordinary examples to produce extraordinary products. Then they come here and they tell us no respect from children. And I told them, as I believe respect is a mutual understanding given to a person if they give you a reason to give them that. And so if the children have failed to respect their teachers or the current people to their failures, to be the majority who are non-successful, we do not blame it on the leaders, because the leaders are long dead. They have done their part, they have given us a reason to respect them. Unlike that for today, then they tell us idolizing the characters. And I would like to tell them, me to idolize you is that choice. I'm not forced by the education system that, oh my God, Nelson Mandela did this, Nelson Mandela. No. Yes, please, accepted.
Okay, so how will the majority who have not become leaders know that they will not?
Why we're giving you extraordinary examples? We're not saying that these people are going to influence you. We're giving you examples to succeed. That's these people are not understanding what we're saying. Dear judges, why should we give this debate to incompetent people like this? And then they come and tell us that idolizing is what is they idolize their characters. We tell them idolization is a choice. If I just idolize Nelson Mandela, it's my choice. If I choose to idolize your average Mr. Kandungu from Kasese, it is your choice, and you become a failure because you want to be ordinary and you don't want to bring out the best out of you. You want to be ordinary at the same level, no more. Then again, they come here with not everyone is going to be Nelson Mandela. Yes, we accept that not everyone, you yourself don't have the capacity to become Nelson Mandela. You accept that you don't have the capacity to be the best of who you are. That's why we tell them that these people are not here to influence you. They're here to give you example, to inspire you. If these people had the brain to tell the difference between these words, they will not be here debating with us. And they come here and they tell us that we should not paint our world with brushes. That's why we are painting this world with brushes, because we want the judges to work hand in hand with us. When you're imagining, you're closing your eyes, imagining the judges don't even know which picture you're imagining. Blue people, for the person you're painting a brush with them with brown people. And then they come and they tell us a benefit. We want to be able to share that different perspective. That's why we're giving you extraordinary examples, extraordinary people who have made it, like Nelson Mandela. You can see the world from his perspective. You'll be like, oh my God, I want to be like Nelson Mandela. Or you may choose to see a world from a different perspective. So we're giving you a different perspective of life. We can tell us the Utilitarian Principle, but these people, they say the greater good for the greater number. So they say the greater good for the greater number is to become ordinary. They want us all to be ordinary. They want the best out of us. So these people are promoting ordinary products. That's why we say that they're not looking out for the greater good for the greater number. They're looking out for the worst, because they want to produce ordinary products, ordinary people, not the best out of people. That's why we give them extraordinary examples, dear judges, to produce extraordinary products. And then they come here and list their benefit that ordinary people can be role models. We accept they can be role models, but we're looking for the better, the extraordinary, to pull the best out of you people who have failed to understand that you need extraordinary models to become extraordinary people. I've realized that in this debate, these people do not want to become the best of who they want, not to become average, ordinary products. This is what they're trying to say. They don't even believe that by giving people great examples that they're going to, like Nelson Mandela, they can be the best of who you are, because Nelson Mandela was the best of who he is, but they want to give Mrs. Kangungu who sells charcoal in their neighborhood to a person who's in school, because they want them to idolize extraordinary people. And I believe idolization is a choice. So if I choose to idolize Mr. Nelson Mandela, we are doing the same. And I say we do not appreciate ordinary people. Yes, we appreciate you. Thank you for appreciating us. I'm also ordinary. But we want those to appreciate. We want to appreciate those and so giving us a more reason to appreciate them. People who have given us a reason to appreciate them further. People who have done it. And these people are not actually, if they say that the ordinary people have done things at the level of maybe South Africa, because these people were the ones who fought appetite. Not here, judges. It took Mandela to inspire this average person. It took the extraordinary person to make the ordinary person who they are. And then they come here and tell us that we ask the debate who give a good example. Oh, by the way, we come here and accept that we have bad leaders. We have bad examples. Adolf Hitler did kill some people, but we did not deny. But Napoleon did do some bad things. But then we come here and tell you the number of bad leaders is less than the number of bad people. We have more bad people than the number of bad leaders. Because right now people are how many? Like right now we can say in your community you can be like 1,000 people, and we have one or two bad leaders out of 10. But in your community you can have, in that 1,000 you can have 500 bad people. So what are you trying to say? Is that we idolize these bad people? And then We accept that you looking at them at God is not proper, but it is my choice to idolize. If I be like, oh my God, Nelson Mandela did this, Nelson Mandela did that, I should idolize him. I believe I should. And first of all, these people come and tell us, they say it's not, first of all, we don't say that they're not, okay, we don't say that average people are not important. We told them they're not as important. People, please clean your ears and listen to us, because we're trying to actually educate you and give and pull the best out of you, because we're giving you extraordinary examples. We're trying to help you be the best of you. And I hope by the end of this debate, you pick out two or three leaves, actually pick out the whole trip, because we want to pull the best out of you. And you come here and tell us that, so first of all, when we said we should from our neighbors, and I do acknowledge that South Africa is one of our neighbors, so we should best from South Africa. Accepted, dear. What do you want to say?
You lie in the category of ordinary people. So why do you keep on saying extraordinary, extraordinary?
Because they have proved to be extraordinary. Is Nelson Mandela, a person who stayed in prison for 27 years? Ordinary? No, ordinary people give up. They would even kill themselves. But he came out and led these people to be. He fought against appetite. So what? You ordinary people can't even do that. So you're presenting narrow options and presentable people. That's why we're giving you extraordinary examples to pull the best out of you. And I have seen by the end of this video, you're not going to have to pick an anything, because you are insisting on these ordinary people. You want to become ordinary. You don't want the best out of you. Dear judges, are you seeing these people? They're trying to promote a world of ordinary people. They're trying to promote a world of where everybody goes sell charcoal. Everybody goes sell charcoal. How do we acknowledge? Okay, we do acknowledge the fact that they're not being, everyone isn't a good leader, but we're trying to give them an example. We're trying to give you an example. That's why we chose the Mahatma Gandhis, the Nelson Mandelas, the George Washington. We didn't talk about Hitler. We wanted to listen to a debate. We're not giving you, actually it shows that you focusing on ordinary people has made you look for the bad people. We're giving you good examples, but because you want to be an ordinary person, you're looking at the bad. I said, yeah, judges, people are being ordinary from the beginning to the end. Why should we give them an emotion? Then they come in and tell us, that majority may not be good leaders. I do believe. I don't know majorities may not become leaders, but yeah, judges, we're not trying to influence. If you don't want to become Nelson Mandela, you can be the next doctor version of Nelson Mandela. We're not trying to tell you that come with us to go and become leaders. No, we're trying to tell you, come with us. We're not trying to tell you that come with us. We're not trying to influence you. We're trying to give you an example. We're trying to inspire you to be the best of you, because Nelson Mandela, Mahatma Gandhi were the best of who they are. We're not trying to tell you, dear, come with us, become leaders. No, we're telling you, be the best of who you are. Don't become that ordinary person, that ordinary charcoal. We're telling you, become that Mahatma Gandhi in what? In science. Become that Mahatma Gandhi in biology. Become that Mahatma Gandhi in everything. Become that Mahatma Gandhi in eating food. You choose to be an eating competition person. We tell you to don't best on ordinary people. We're trying to build a world where we have everyone as an extra. We're trying to pull the best out of you. What the dear judges people are not trying to do? They're trying to make us the worst. They're trying to make us ordinary. And right now we're tracing a world of dream churches, people who are going to be extraordinary. And like what they're trying to do, you're not giving children clear examples, you're giving them ordinary examples. I want to become the president of Uganda, but then you're giving me Mama Nam who's the charcoal seller. What will I gain from that? We want these extraordinary examples to become the extraordinary people we want to be. Judges, I say we support our side and we promote the best out of people instead of making them ordinary, because the world of ordinary people isn't a world at all. I rest my case.
Okay, thank you, third speaker. You didn't give your name. I now call upon the leader for the opposition side for the reply speech. So your reply speeches are 4 minutes long, and there are no pure eyes during reply speeches. Yeah.
Good afternoon, dear judges. My name is Nana Barak, and I'm the reply speaker from Team Negative. This house prefers a world where the research, writing, and teaching of history focus on studying the lives of ordinary people as opposed to those of important leaders of society. And then the negators come and say that how are they going to realize their identity? Like South Africans who have fought to opposite to the leadership of Nelson Mandela. Yes, the South Africans, they have fought to the opposite. That's how they get their attention. These guys have struggled to the segregation, to the discrimination, and they are forced to under the leadership of Nelson Mandela to acquire greatness. So yes, they have their identities. Then we're not considering them good. If you put yourself in the shoes of Nelson Mandela, he suffered the racism and racial segregation, but he worked harder. He was arrested for 27 years, but he still came back and worked harder. Most people would kill themselves. Those are not people who kill themselves, but they fought through the slavery and the chains and the segregation, and they achieved great success, which is why they should be put in the they should study the lives of the important leaders of society. Then They are not recognized, that the ordinary people are not recognized. But let me tell you, dear judges, that these people are not recognized because they're not putting themselves out there. They're not recognized because they're not putting themselves. Because Nelson Mandela, he put himself out there. He struggled. It's like, we are not taking this anymore. We are going to strive for success. And so he moved. He worked hard. Was arrested. He got through all that segregation, that discrimination, everything, all the things. Well, what kind of punishment she could go through as a black person in a white community? Then he strived. He broke through all the barriers and he became the first black president. You hear, judges, the first black president of South Africa. Now tell me that person doesn't inspire you. Tell me that person doesn't give you a sense of a role model. Tell me that person it doesn't deserve any kind of recognition, dear judges. Then you came and told us that ordinary people can't cope up with extraordinary people. So you don't want us to cope up with extraordinary people. So you want us to cope up with failure, huh? You want us to cope up with failure because we, as Barack Naila, I'm inspired by Nelson Mandela. I'm inspired by Gandhi. Gandhi was a victim of racial discrimination and that was practiced in that area. And he still fought through all the barriers. So yes, I'm inspired by Gandhi. Yes, I'm inspired by Nelson Mandela. And I want to be like them. So you can't tell me that because I'm ordinary, yes, I'm ordinary, that I can't strive for success. I can't want to be like Nelson Mandela. So you want me to be like, like our third speaker said, like Mama Nam, the chocolate seller. Eh? So neglecting the ordinary people is the fair share of acknowledgement. We're not acknowledging that we're neglecting the ordinary people because because we are more focusing on the leaders or the important leaders of society. But let me tell you, judges, would you want to be recognized? Would you want to be like following under the path of another person? Would you like to follow the under the path of Mama Nam, the chocolate seller? Or do you want to be following under the path of Nelson Mandela, the first black president of South Africa, the person who strived through the barriers, the change, the segregation, the racism to become the first black president of South Africa? He fought through a way. And Nelson Mandela, when he became president, he never fought racism or racism. When he became president, he was like, all people shall be treated equally. Now tell me that person doesn't inspire you. Tell me. And I say inspire you, and someone make you a role model. This guy strived through the barriers. Gandhi, he fought for the National Indian Congress. He fought the fair to make India an independent state. Now tell me this people don't inspire you, dear judges. Then if I choose to consider them a god, it is my choice, it is my will, because these guys have proved to me that these guys have achieved success, and you ordinary people can achieve success. All you do is stop idolizing people stop idolizing the ordinary people and start striving for the good leaders, the powerful leaders, the people who have outdone themselves, dear judges. These are people who want to be. These are people who want to follow. These are people who are inspired. So the role models we have. And dear judges, I end my case by saying that yes, in fact, the studying of life of important leaders, that the research, the writing and teaching of history should and studying of history should focus on the important leaders of society, because those are people we want to become. Those are people we want to. These are people who inspire us. Instead of the role models, we are inspired by this, and that is why they should focus on the important leaders of society. Thank you, dear judges.
All right, thank you very much for that leadership, Rema. I now call upon the leader from Team Proposition to conclude the whole debate for us. Here.
Okay, I'll start in 3, 2, 1. Dear judges, Team Oppositions wants us to learn from these important people. They say that their efforts cannot go in waste. They want them to be recognized. Dear judges, these people want to teach the young children that whenever you make an achievement, you need to be recognized. You need to shout it out, that your history should actually be written there, dear judges. That's what they want to teach the young generation, dear judges. They want to make our young generation to become proud and arrogant. That's the issue they want to address here, judges. But we come and tell you, in our world, we address the issue of humility. That even if you achieve success, you don't need to shout it out. How sure are you that ordinary people don't achieve success, dear judges? These people, dear judges, they believe that ordinary people have not achieved success. This is the problem we have at hand. Because of such people, they idolize these important people who have had their share of achievements. They clearly don't acknowledge the fact that even ordinary people have achieved success. They carpenters, like teachers. They only think that it is an important leader who is successful. Dear judges, throughout their speech, they have clearly shown us the need to address the history of these ordinary people. We need to eradicate this idea of biasness from their world, and even people who think like them, that only ordinary people are the only important people, are the ones to achieve success. Dear judges, they claim we are producing ordinary products, but what is wrong with being ordinary? In reality, not everyone is going to be important, not everyone is going to be extraordinary. So what is wrong with being ordinary? And nevertheless, ordinary people can be the best of who they can. They don't necessarily need to stand out. Even ordinary people can inspire the majority of people. Even me, I can go and inspire a young girl going to school. We ask them two hardcore questions throughout this debate, but they pretended not to hear. They've not even answered. Dear judges, they claim that debate has been about Nelson Mandela. But dear judges, some people don't even go to school. Some people don't even know about Nelson Mandela. But this ordinary chocolate sellers, they say, can come and inspire that young girl to become successful. Dear judges, throughout this debate, we have shown you the importance of these ordinary people. We came and gave them a thought of greater good for greatest number. These ordinary people live with us. They know our problems. They can address us well. They give us people like Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela died millions of years ago. In fact, even behind Nelson Mandela, there was that ordinary person that probably helped him. Why are they forgetting that? Dear judges, in fact, behind the successful man, there is a woman. So maybe there was that ordinary woman that came and helped Nelson Mandela idolize. They have clearly failed to show us why idolizing of ordinary people is wrong throughout this debate. Throughout this debate, they have just been arguing Nelson Mandela, but sincerely, dear judges, Nelson Mandela is one person. Let us look at the bigger view, the ordinary people. Nelson Mandela is only going to inspire a specific group of these people, but these ordinary people are going to go out because they live in the community. They are going to go and inspire different categories of people. Dear judges, even if you want me to be the best of Nelson Mandela in biology, sincerely, it doesn't actually bring the principle. If I can actually be inspired by someone who actually treats chickens, dear judges, someone who doesn't stand out more properly than Nelson Mandela will ever do, dear judges. Dear judges, throughout this debate, they have failed to show us why history of ordinary people is actually wrong. Dear judges, in our world, we come and show you that idolizing of ordinary people is not wrong. We come and show you that it is for the greater good, for the greatest number, which they clearly pretended not to hear. Dear judges, when a second affirmer tells us to close your eyes and imagine using a different perspective other than the painting, she's imagining life from someone else's perspective. Dear judges, I rest my case by saying that proposition team has clearly taken this debate. Why? Because they have fulfilled their burden of proof.
All right, thank you very much for that reply speech, and thank you and congratulations to both teams for making it this far. Hopefully things went as you had planned during preparation time. May I kindly have team Nabisunsa 4, which was the proposition side, writing down their team speakers and speaking order, and the person who was presenting the reply speech.
I'm asking, is the verdict going to come?